It might be Tiffy time in WWE, but according to Miss Tiffany Stratton herself, Tiffy time isn't enough time. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. And in a recent interview, Tiffany Stratton has not necessarily complained, but she has shared her belief that women sometimes get overlooked in WWE. Now, I think this has been getting spoken about a lot more since Raw went back down to 2 hours. Pretty much the first show when Raw went back to 2 hours, a lot of the fans online lost their shit. They got upset because the women didn't get featured much and they got thrown into like a 10 woman tag. People weren't happy. And then if you look at what's happened since then, it feels like we've had the women almost shoved down our throat. Now we're getting a SmackDown mid-card United States title for the women. And you just wonder, is this happening because of the backlash? Is this happening because people tried to call it WWE, they tried to call it Triple H, saying, oh, you're taking an hour away from Raw and you're hurting the women. Mercedes Moné was saying the same thing before it even happened. She says that Raw losing an hour was going to hurt the women the most. And I tell you what, if you've got a 3 hour show and you're taking away an hour from that show, I would say the thing that is going to get lost in the shuffle, the thing that's going to get hurt the most from that 3 hours, from that 1 hour going, is going to be either A, the stuff that isn't as good, or B, the stuff that doesn't draw. And we've just seen that the women do not draw as well as the men on average. Do we get some women that draw better than men? Absolutely. Fair play to them. Congratulations. Do we get some women that are better in the ring and better on the mic and have better characters than the men? Yes, sometimes we do. But on average, the men are just better than the women in WWE. And when it comes to any sport, to be honest, or when it comes to most forms of acting, you look at the greatest, you look at the greatest people in movies and TV history. All the best characters are males. I mean, it is what it is. I'm sorry to burst their bubble. Is there some really good female characters? Absolutely. But, I mean, if you take 100 male characters and 100 female characters, you will get more better male characters. It is what it is, but people just don't like that, man. They get upset. They want equality. They want everything to be 50-50, regardless of whether or not they deserve 50-50. And a lot of people in the comments on this channel, I agree with them. A lot of them are saying, if you look at the way the women wrestle and compared to the men, it's nowhere near as good. And the crowd, the fans have different standards. They do. They have different expectations. And if the women might wrestle a match and the fans will be like, oh, that's great, this is awesome. But if men wrestle the exact same match and the exact same speed and style of match, people would complain. So, you know, it's strange that we praise the women and we pretend the women are just as good, yet we hold them to a lower standard. You know, it's very hypocritical, and I'm not talking about the people that admit they ain't as good. I'm talking about the people that don't admit it. I'm talking about the people that say that the women are just as good as the men, yet they hold the women to a lower standard because deep down they know that the women can't perform. It's like back in the day, I loved Lita, I loved Trish, and I thought they were good workers, and I thought they got a hell of a lot better towards the end of their careers, and they put on good matches, but I wasn't expecting them to put on a Benoit Angle classic, and I didn't have that sort of expectations. I think I could have looked at a Lita and Trish match and thought it was a great match, but I wouldn't expect it to be just as good as Angle and Benoit because I know they're not that good, and I'm realistic here. But nowadays, people want to pretend that they're just as good as the men when they're not. You know, it's lame. But anyway, here is what Tiffany Stratton said during a recent interview with Jazzy's World. Now, I'm not too sure who Jazzy's World is, and if you want to care more, if you want to find out a little bit more about Jazzy's World, then I guess you can do your own, I don't know, do your own investigation or your own research or whatever. But this is what the 2024 Miss Money in the Bank had to say with her beliefs that women sometimes get overlooked in WWE. Stratton said, quote, I definitely feel like being a female in WWE superstar, a lot of times you get overlooked. I definitely feel like being a female WWE superstar, a lot of the times you get overlooked. A lot of the times the men are kind of the main focal point, and a lot of the times it can be hard for the women to get time for their matches. So I would definitely say, match time and just TV time is a little hard to get as a female superstar because a lot of the times you get overlooked. End of quote. So, I mean, not much to take from that, but we get her point. She repeated it like 3 or 4 times. You get overlooked as a female. You don't get as much TV time as a female. Here's the facts, okay? It's not because you're a female, it's just because you're not as good and you're not in as a spot that's as important as the men. It's as simple as that. You could say the same thing about the cruiserweights. The cruiserweights could say, we don't get as much TV time as the guys in the world title picture. The guys, the tag teams, the tag team division could turn around and say, we don't get enough time, or we don't get as much time as the guys in the world title picture in the main event, because that's just the way it is. The people that are in the world title feuds, the people that are in the main event feuds like the Bloodline angle, they are going to get more TV time. It fucking is what it is. And we see plenty of male guys, let's be honest, we see plenty of male stars that don't get as much time as the female stars. We've seen Becky Lynch pretty much through her career get a shitload. Look at Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley takes up so much time on Raw, but she is at the top of the division. She is in the main event scene. She is part of a rivalry for not only the Women's Championship, but somebody who's in the top faction, the top heel faction on Raw. So therefore, she's getting a lot of TV time. There's loads of guys, about 90%, 95% at least of the men on the Raw roster don't get as much time as Rhea Ripley. If you took TV time, I guarantee you, if you took TV time for Monday Night Raw over like the past 3 months, I bet you Rhea Ripley is in like the top 3 in terms of TV time. I guarantee you she's in the top 3. So, I mean, it's not just because you're a female, you don't get the TV time. It depends on how good you are. It depends on the spot you're in. And right now, Tiffany Stratton, I mean, she's not in a good spot. I like Stratton. I think she's very good. But this whole run that she's having alongside Nia Jax, it fucking sucks. And honestly, man, I've kind of lost all interest in Tiffany at the moment. I think she's lost all the momentum that she had. And they need to get her away from Nia Jax, just like they need to get Chelsea Green away from Doudrop. I don't know why they pair these, feminine, attractive chicks with the big ugly fatties. I just don't get it. Honestly, I don't know if it's a rib to try and make them look worse, or they're just trying to drag these two down. But Nia Jax has not helped Tiffany Stratton, and Chelsea Green has not been helped by Piper Niven. That is an absolute fact. But anyway, if Tiffany wants more TV time, if she wants more airtime, if she wants longer matches, longer promos, I can guarantee one way to do it. Go back to the bra and panties. Go back to the lingerie matches or the evening gown matches. I guarantee you, that would get more time. So, again, it's not because she's a female. It's not because she's a woman. There's a lot of men on the roster that get nowhere near the amount of time that Tiffany Stratton gets. It's all about where you are on the card. And the higher you are up in the card, the bigger the star you are, the more TV time you're going to get. I mean, it really is that simple. Like I say, Rhea Ripley on Raw. You look at Becky Lynch. There was a period where WWE were pushing Becky Lynch as their top star, and she was fucking getting all the time, and she was a woman. So, again, this narrative coming back in that somehow WWE are sexist. I mean, it's bullshit. I don't believe in equality in terms of forced equality. If the women get 50% of the matches, then that's fine. But they shouldn't just be forced. The women shouldn't get 50% of the TV time just because they're women. They should get 50% of the TV time because they're good enough to get half the amount of TV time, the same amount of TV time as the men get. And if they're not good enough, then they shouldn't get it. I think that's fair. I think that's simple. Honestly, I feel like a lot of the way, I mean, people want to talk, they want to say the women's division is great, but then it's like they want hand-me-outs. I mean, if it's so great, then let them earn their spot on the card. But, I mean, it almost does sound like pathetic, where they're almost begging, oh, you've got to give us the same amount of time, you've got to do this, you've got to treat us equal, even though we don't deserve it. You know, it's lame. It's fucking lame. But anyway, guys, there you go. Tiffany Stratton complains about TV time, saying it's difficult. But, I mean, there's a shitload of guys that don't get TV time. There's a shitload of men low down the roster that don't get TV time. So, yeah, it's not a female thing. It's not a male thing. If you're a big star, if you're bringing in numbers, if you're bringing in ratings, if you're great on the mic, if you're great in the ring, then you'll tend to get more time over somebody else. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I'll catch you in the next one, Being Fog Wrestling. But I'd give Tiffy all the time she wants. Come to my ring and I'll give you the 2 hours, Tiffy, I promise. I'll just you, no men, I'll be all women, buddy. You know. Anyway, that's it, guys. Till next time, I'll give Tiffy time 100% screen time, guaranteed. That's it. Till next time, peace.